Hello, my name's Glenn Jackson and welcome to our look at the referees from round 5 of the NRL Telstra Premiership. As always, I'm joined by the referees Elite Performance Manager Tony Archer. We'll start with the events of Friday night. Well, Tony, we'll start with the Bulldogs-Rabbitohs game on Friday night. Obviously a lot to get through out of that game. Can we start with the decision to penalise James Graham, dangerous contact with the kicker, Adam Reynolds. Can you clarify that rule? There's been a lot of talk about, a lot of controversy around that decision. What is the decision around that ruling?
Yeah, obviously the obligation on a player who's charging down a potential kick, which was the circumstances of James Graham on Friday afternoon. He's not in a position to make any dangerous contact with the kicker. After the attempted charge down, there was dangerous contact made on the leg of Adam Reynolds, and subsequently the penalty was awarded and correctly awarded.
And it was correctly awarded on the right spot as well, 10 metres out from the post. That's an obscure one which not many people knew about, but obviously the referees knew about.
Yeah, the match officials did know on the field. It is an unusual rule and we don't see a lot of it where there is a dangerous contact or a foul on the player taking a field goal. But in those circumstances, when that person is fouled, whether it be successful or unsuccessful, the field goal attempt, the penalty is always 10 metres out from in front of the goalpost. So it was correct on the day.
That obviously led to some scenes afterwards, which have led to subsequently some suspensions for players for dissent. What were your thoughts on what happened on the day, and are you looking for your referees to take a stronger stance on dissent or a similar stance on dissent?
Yes, certainly I want the referees to take a strong stance on dissent. There's a couple of options for them in general play. They can either march the player 10 metres, or subsequently, if it's significant enough, and the circumstances on Friday certainly warranted that, the sin binning of a player. So I encourage the referees to take that strong stance, but I think they're doing a pretty good job with it at the moment, and that was well handled on Friday.
The kick-off, then there was a call there where the Bulldogs, a lot of the Bulldogs claimed there should have been a penalty for a push in the back on Josh Morris. What was your clarification on that ruling? Yeah,
it was obviously a heated period of time of the game, but certainly in relation to that kick-off, there's contact initially made by Rona, Canterbury player, into the South player, who subsequently contacts with Morris. The problem with that is it's really just a collision there, and it's very difficult for the referee to determine the level of force amongst the three of them as they each contacted each other. But the initial contact was caused by the Bulldogs, so in those circumstances I understand why the referee played on, and I think that's the correct decision.
Earlier in the game there was also another fairly obscure one, an 8-point try. You don't see too many of them. So Isaac Luke scored the try. He was deemed to have been fouled in the process. Were you comfortable with that ruling?
Yeah, it was obviously a couple of elements to that try-scoring play. The on-field official ruled that Isaac Luke had dropped the ball in attempting to score, but there had been some contact on him. That was subsequently overturned by the video referee correctly, because Isaac Luke had maintained possession of the ball and grounded it on the line. The second element to that try-scoring play was the contact made by Josh Morris with the boot to Isaac Luke. In those circumstances, there's a possible 8-point try. Now, by an 8-point try, I mean that the conversion in normal circumstances for the try is given in the spot in line with where the try was scored. The second additional part of it is that effectively a penalty is awarded 10 metres out from in front of the sticks, where a shot for goal must be taken. It was taken, and there was an 8-point try in those circumstances.
The fact that Josh Morris wasn't charged, is that relevant in this case?
Not in this case. The circumstance around this is that he led with the boot and made contact with Isaac Luke. When that occurs in a try-scoring play, that's a foul upon the try scorer, and that should be an 8-point try and was correctly awarded.
There was obviously, we talk about it being obscure, but there was another one over the weekend, Will Hopewadi. There was an 8-point try, or potential 8-point try awarded to the West Tigers. Were you comfortable with that ruling?
Yes, similar circumstances in the fact that the try scorer is fouled in the act of scoring. In those circumstances, it was a head-eye tackle, made contact with the head of Pat Richards, and correct decision for a possible 8-point try in those circumstances as well.
A couple of video refereeing decisions in the Penrith North Queensland game. Josh Mansour, Matt Moylan, the video referees overturned the on-fields referee's original decision. What were your thoughts on those decisions?
Yeah, obviously there were two tries that were overturned against Penrith on Monday night. The first one being Matt Moylan. Referee had come up with a live decision of try and wished us to review the grounding. Video referees then processed that. Their test is to have a sufficiency around whether or not they can confirm the grounding of the ball. They had evidence before them that the ball was off the ground, and when they married up two shots, they could determine that the ball was off the ground, and they had sufficient evidence to overturn that, and subsequently did do so.
So do they they don't need conclusive evidence to overturn it?
No, it's not. The test in the current system that we work under isn't a conclusive test or beyond any reasonable doubt or any shadow of a doubt. It relates to a sufficiency test, and in the circumstances of that, the video referees ruled that they had sufficient to overturn that. It needs to be based on some evidence, and obviously they had sufficient evidence to do that.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Glenn.